Want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
God damn, Jimmy. This is some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Guten Morgen. Hope everybody's having a good day. It's Fantastic Thursday. I would love to have an alliteration to where we had a word that means fantastic that starts with a T, but I couldn't find one, so it's an FT day. Hi, Six. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Gerry. How you doing?
Right off the bat, you're a dick to me. Right off the bat. Is this that kind of show? Is this going to be that show?
100% going to be that kind of show.
Okay, great. I want to say that I hope Emma feels better today and gets some rest. She's not going to join us today. She's just exhausted. So it's just going to be us, guys.
I'm going to miss her, but I'm hopeful that she'll get some rest today. That's most important.
Yes, me too. I got to tell you, I've only gotten 2.5 episodes into Vox Machina, a new season. So I'm going to rely on you, John, to help me with that one.
I'm ready. I rewatched it again this morning, and I've got recaps pulled up for anything that I missed. And I've even got some Critical Role news to go along with it.
Oh,
I've
cool.
never heard of it. What's it about?
Vox Machina, it's an animated show on Amazon based off of a game. And they were doing a web series, as I recall, right? Where these actors were playing the game and doing the voices. And it was so much fun. I guess somebody said, this should be a cartoon.
Well, they did. They had the largest Kickstarter in history.
Wow.
They pulled in like 21 million.
That's ridiculous. That's a lot of people. So, I think making the show is logical. And it is a hit. It's a hit on Amazon. Hilarious as hell. And really inappropriate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Raunchy humor. The kind of stuff I like. So I want to say good morning to everybody in the chat. Who's all here right now? We got Railway Nation is here. What's up, buddy? Dr. Shadow Dragon. War Monkey. Joe's Atmosphere. Penny, Dork Knight's mom, and D. Bud Martin are here. Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Don't spoil it. I just started Vox Machina last night. Are you fucking kidding me, Dragon? I mean, War Monkey. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what this show is.
Oh, I'm going to have all the spoilers.
He's such a turd sometimes.
Plus, since I have been watching Critical Role for all 3 campaigns so far, I know a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I'm a big nerd. I know that.
No, I'm laughing at War Monkey asking me why I pronounce enema. And I don't. Everybody else might sound like they're saying enema. I say enema. I enunciate. So can't you see we talking? Why? Oh, yeah. Yeah. He loves that video.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's I threw that one in there just for Keith. And it's Thursday. We've gotten past hump day. I don't know. It's been an interesting week. We are how far are we away, Martin, right now? We are, holy crap. We are less than a week now away from our official launch of all shows on KGRA.
6 days.
And Penny, I'm not surprised. YouTube's a fucking asshole. and that's why I'm glad we did this. We're going to KGRA. We've got, pretty much guaranteed viewership and audience, whereas YouTube constantly punishes us. You'll see sudden drops in subscribership. People aren't getting their notifications from us. That's all YouTube. And YouTube likes to punish us because I don't like removing some of the things they want me to remove. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to remove it. And they do. They punish us, right? We did a test. And right after I refused to remove something, all of a sudden everything dropped. That's YouTube. They're populated by assholes.
But
I made it.
We will be still editing on YouTube.
Yeah, but we're not going to rely on YouTube.
Right.
I'm not going to rely on them. We have guaranteed audience, and we just got to keep them.
So you'll be streaming to both the radio station and to YouTube at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's through KGRA. They will be going through their. Well, technically, we'll be going through only on one show on their StreamYard. Then they're going to be using our StreamYard because we're the first group to ever come to them with 9 fucking shows. They've never had that before. That's usually like one person doing one show. We came to them with 9 shows, and they were just tickled with what we were doing. And they're like, we like it. We like it. We like your panelists. We like everything you do, the way you banter. We love everything about this. This is great. We want this on a radio station. And poor Don was like, you got to stop saying fuck so much. Radio station like, oh, no, we're good with that. We Don was like, he still gets on me about you're doing too many fucks, and I'm like, I know, and I've dropped it a lot. I don't say it quite as often as I used to.
I wish we had a swear cup on YouTube because I would like.
We
to
tried something like that, Six. We actually tried something. There was a counter that we had on screen that would count every single time I would drop an F-bomb. Every single time it would do a counter. And Martin, somebody said something about, that I have to pay so much money if I do so many. It's like, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
But the reason it stopped was because I was using OBS to do the show through StreamYard.
Mm-hmm.
And my computer can handle, it's got a CPU and a GPU, can handle massive games. But for some reason, it cannot handle 2 video programs running at once. And then all of a sudden my mic keeps going crazy and doing the static thing. And whenever that does happen during a show, it's because I've opened another tab or a video opened on another screen for me to share. And so I've got to get I have a different computer. I just got to set it up. It's been a pain in the ass. I hate technology.
Now, how long is this? Are you using the same laptop that you bought shortly after the fire?
Yep. This is the same one.
Okay.
And it can handle gaming, man. I can game all day long on this thing. No bleak screen of death, nothing. It just keeps going.
You can game.
If I'm doing a show, streaming, and I open another video to share or another tab that's got anything heavy on it,
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden it impacts not my video, but it impacts my audio. And it's a conflict between the CPU and the GPU. They're arguing over my audio for some weird reason. Breached the back door. Here it goes. By the way, right off the bat with the new Vox Machina, back door. First episode, 5 minutes in. I was going to clip it.
This place, Gilmore?
Yep. And I'm like, God damn it. And I wanted to clip it, but I'm like, fuck it, I'm too tired. I want to go to finish this and go to bed.
Strong. I'm going to go check the back door. Back door.
The irony of this is, as much as I didn't like backdoor at first, I've gotten so used to it. It's now part of my routine. Like, what the fuck? And I go, thanks, Polly. You did this to me.
He's embraced the back door.
I embraced the back door.
I love it. I love Gary's back door.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's kind of hot. No.
Phrasing?
Phrasing. Again, it's not phrasing when I say something directly. Martin. Just saying. I know English is not your first language. Jesus Christ, dude.
I was using it for what Six said.
You're being ironic. I get it. But it's more like this moment.
How dare you? Keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And the word is phrase. Oh, that was you, John.
That one was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That last one.
You need a fart sound. I would like a fart sound. There you go. Oh, it's too loud. It needs to sound like it's in the room with you with no echo. Like, and you got to go like this every time you do it. I find it so funny that Leslie Nielsen would walk around for years with a little fart machine, little push button fart thingy. He'd be doing interviews on camera, and he'd hits his body up and make the sound. And somebody else has been doing it. They did it with the guy that played young Seth Rogen. He's now a serious actor, but he's still comedic. He does it with DiCaprio and the other cast members. He did it on video where you just hear this fart sound and he's squeezed up in his seat. I'm like, someone's carrying on the tradition for Leslie Nielsen now that we lost him.
Read this one, Gary.
The best is when backdoor Gerry's professional friends learn of it. Yeah, fucking rocket scientist, astrophysicist John Brandenburg just starts laughing when he hears the story of what backdoor Gerry is. And somebody found it funny yesterday when I was doing the show. They're like, man, you were shitting on John Brandenburg, a fucking rocket scientist and astrophysicist, and he's just laughing as you're fucking with him. And I'm like, yeah, it's like, that's what happens when you become a friend of mine. It's, you better be ready to play and have some fun.
Yeah. You have to take it as well as dish it out.
You got to take it and dish it out and dish it out and take it. You know, exactly, Six. And it's always been that way. And so Brandenburg fucking fits right into it. He is such a fucking funny guy. I love him.
Taking it in the back door.
Dork Knight's here, and he's confused with what's going on. I just woke up. Is this a nightmare? This is your nightmare hearing about my back door. That's right, Dork. So let's get into this one thing. We're about 15 minutes into the show. This is our warm-up. Morning is ready. Let's go, Six. I really hated you not being here because I wanted to hear what you thought of the show. Everybody knows what Anima and I thought of the show. I was very frustrated by the rig. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's get into it.
I love it. I haven't finished it, though. I didn't finish episode 6. I only made it about halfway through episode 6. But I love the show. I thought the setting was great, being on an oil rig. I've never seen a show set in that kind of environment. I thought that the message was a little bit weak, it was a little bit thin, but the fact that they were bringing into it bacteria or viruses, or I can't even remember what the
spore.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because I love science. I'm a big nerd that way. The fact that it was a billion years old spore or entity or creature or whatever, I thought that was pretty cool.
That was the best part of it, that this thing has come up from the depths at every extinction level event, which is the rings. That was the only part of the film or the show that I liked, other than the acting. I liked the cast.
Well, now you said that you liked it up until episode 4. And what happened in
episode 4? I liked up to episode 4. I thought it was good storytelling to a certain point. I had some issues with a couple of things, like just, if you're going to do something based in reality, then you need to really know what the fuck you're talking about. And they did Roughnecks wrong. But ignore that. What I thought was interesting was how they were trying to deal with this situation. They, of course, weren't taking, this is one of my beefs, is they weren't taking the proper precautions for dealing with what they were dealing with. They absolutely, nobody would be outside when that fog comes in. They would have been battening down the hatches and locking everything up. You don't know what that is. And it is more likely toxic than it is anything else. because it's not natural looking.
Animals on the chat.
Yeah, it broke. It broke in episode 5 because in episode 5,
Well, there's Anima.
we suddenly get introduced to the white male, old, powerful bad guy, and it's like, so
Coke
make
was his name.
A dumb character. Also, you don't introduce a major character in the 3rd act. You introduce them in the 1st act. That's the rule of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge no. And to make him the villain instead of making it the story about this thing, because that's what the story's been for 4 episodes, this thing. And how are we going to deal with this? Do we have to try to kill it? Do we try to communicate with it? And then all of a sudden Coke comes in. It's like, it's a whole different story now.
Yeah, he came in and he kind of took it over. He was such a prominent person in the show.
He shouldn't have been in it. He shouldn't have been in it. This should have been something that we find out about later, because it's just a mistake in writing. It's bad writing. And I got angry. You'll see it. It's really funny. Animal sees it. I'll physically show anger. I'll go, I'll do like that, like a baby when they taste something they don't like. And I was so irritated by that because everything else I'd liked up to this point, I was forgiving them for some of their faux pas. And but then the ending, and I got kind of irritated at the ending, and I don't want to spoil that for you. I won't tell you. But the final shot is of the medic's wife back in, I don't know where she is. I think France, the coast of France.
Okay.
Nobody reacts that way. Nobody would ever react that way. I think that scene should have been written better. Although I love the idea of what they were showing, I didn't like how they had her react to it. And it's a setup. The ending is kind of a cliffhanger, obviously a cliffhanger. And I don't think you should do that. I think that you should finish the story.
Well, are we going to get a second?
You don't know. We don't know, and that's why you don't do it.
And they probably don't know yet either.
I like Stallone, what he did. He actually asked for the money to make 1 extra episode so they could wrap it up in case they didn't get a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to give it a wrap up. And that's how you should do it. And you kind of get a wrap up that they get off the rig, and I won't say anything more than that. But I got to tell you, what happens in the helicopter is my favorite part, but at the same time, I'm kind of annoyed by it. And when you get a chance, just you and I, we can just talk about it, because I wanted to talk about the setup for season 2 because I had problems with how they did it. But overall, I like the acting in it. The acting is my favorite part. I mean, you got 3 guys from Game of Thrones in the
I
show.
knew about the Hutton or Sutton.
We looked it up. We looked it up.
Ian
is the main character. Second main character. He's the second protagonist. The girl from Schitt's Creek is really, in my opinion, the actual protagonist of the show. Ian's there to help sell it, and because that's a face that a lot of people know and love from Game of Thrones, and I like him from his detective series, his Irish one. I forget the name of it now. God damn, what is the name of the show? Jack Irish? Is that it? No. That's another show. Anyway, he does an Irish detective series, and I'm hoping he'll do some more. He's a good actor. But I had a problem with some of the visual effects. I thought it was substandard for today. I didn't like the fact that it never felt like we were on an oil rig. It always looked like we were on a stage with a lot of green screen. First, I thought maybe they had shot it on the round, like they did Star Wars. But come to find out, they just shot it all on the green screens. And some of the we call it 3-point perspective angles they were using looked more comic bookish than it did live. Like they were really on a rig walking across from section to section. Also walking around, this was Animas, like, they have no helmets on. They would have helmets on all the time. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. You would never walk outside a door without a helmet on a rig.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about when Coke showed up. That was when I lost. That's why I never finished episode 6, is because it just kind of slowed down. They made him such a big part of the show, and he shows up on their boat. When that rescue boat or not on their boat, on their rig, when that rescue boat shows up, and suddenly he's the authority, and they're listening to him, and they're giving him all
way
this,
too much
they're
power to do
deferring
what he
to
does.
him. And how do you know who he is? Just because he has a badge hanging around
Yeah,
his neck?
exactly. This is what we refer to as Deus Ex Machina in writing. That is where you have come to a point where you begin to force the story, and you create a character who is only there for one reason, to push the story forward. And that's bad writing.
Mm-hmm.
That was where they lost me. I think they should have wrapped that up in 5 episodes, and there should have been no Coke. Not in this story. That should be something that they discover or learn later, like at the end, that there was a survivor from the other, and those 3 survivors, and that should be a subplot for season 2. What happened in episode 5? Episode 5 plot points should all be season 2.
Yeah, they could have introduced him. They could have had some kind of radio conversations with him.
Well, you
Introduced him
need him
early
in
the
Act
show.
1. Act 1, that kind of character, you have to know who he is right off the bat. And there should be problems with him. And that's something they need to establish, because he clearly had no communication with the characters in this season. Okay. No interactions with them. So therefore, we need to see his story in season 2 at the beginning to explain what happened. And then we cut to their whatever facility or where they're going. Because I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a discussion in the helicopter in episode 6. And you need to see that. I say suffer through, because I'd like to get your reaction to what I'm talking about in that final episode.
Yeah,
because it felt like Coke shouldn't have even been in this season. And he's the other one. He's the 3rd member of Game of Thrones, by the way.
Oh,
he's the king.
Yeah,
that
Mark
dies.
Addy.
Yeah,
He's,
dies.
Robert Baratheon.
Yep.
I watched the first episode of season 1 of Game of Thrones, and I thought that's enough for me.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I don't like brothers and sisters having sex.
Oh, well, neither do I. I mean, for goodness sake.
That sounds
no, seriously, I don't. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't condone that.
Yeah, it was a little too graphic for me.
It is. There's a lot of. They had more boobs and vagina in the beginning, but later it's just floppy wieners, and it got kind of tiresome. It's like eventually, I think it was season 6, they just sort of stopped. It was like no more floppy wieners. It was just became story, and that's it. And South Park did a good job of making fun of George R.R. Martin for like being fixated with penises. But 6 is such a prude. Mr. Tickle Trunk is crucified you on the cross of prudishness.
One thing they could have done to fix the rig was if they would have, as soon as they saw the smoke from
the other rig,
the Charlie rig.
Yeah.
If the very next episode would have just been a capsule episode of what happened on Charlie.
That's what I'm saying. Because
the
show is broken up into acts, and Act 1 is the first 2 episodes. That's Act 1. Act 2 is the middle episodes, and then Act 3 is the final episodes. And Act 3 just fell apart. Bringing in that character Coke was just a huge mistake, and it really kind of deflates everything that happened previously. All this buildup to nothing, and I thought there was a better story that they could have told in that 3rd act, and they just got lazy. Maybe they just didn't know where to go, or maybe they knew where to go, and then somebody says, "No, we need to change that. We need to do this." And it's like, and I love it when people who don't know how to tell stories are in charge of how things get told. You can always spot it.
I think that the first 3 or 4 episodes building up to it, the suspense of the fog, what's in the fog, what is the ash, where is it coming from, the evolution of Baz, I think his name is, he's kind of the lead. He's the first one who gets infected.
He's the one who also fell, and I do believe he died. And I think that infection revived him.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he was so deeply infected by this.
Yeah.
And so quickly.
And I really enjoyed that part.
Me
and
too.
I think how they spread it out over those few episodes, that would have made sense if this had been maybe a 12 or 15 episode arc or show. but the way that they just crammed so much in the last 2 episodes, it
just didn't wash. And that's where the show fell apart. And I think, and I pretty much, that's my stance is you get something that's pretty good 1 through 4, and then it falls apart. And a show is only as good as its ending. A movie is only as good as its ending. And I felt like it fell apart. It was a weak ending. I think that even the cut to France or wherever her wife is,
I'm pretty sure it's close to Scotland.
Was it? I couldn't tell if it
Yeah.
was Scotland or where it was, because she didn't live in what would be the tradition. She had French doors. Those were French doors, and so I'm like, I think, is she in France? But I know French doors are everywhere. So.
They mentioned Norway a few times.
They do.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's where she was.
And I'm a typical American. I can barely find Minnesota on a map. So I don't know where
Minnesota,
Scotland
don't you know?
where Scotland is in relation to Norway. It's like, it's all over there in Europe.
It's like Scotland, and then up
one
here,
of the top countries.
Up here is
Yeah.
Norway.
Yeah,
But I got to tell you, I think that if they'd spend a little bit more money on the visual effects, the water effects were terrible. The only times it really looked good was when they were using actual water. There were logic issues with the fog. Plot wise, like I did like the nods to other films. There was a nod to The Mist. There was a clear nod to The Thing. The whole blood. Is there? Can we do a test to see who's infected? That is absolutely who goes there and The Thing, 1982.
Yeah, with the inorganic parts of their, the fillings and the tattoos.
That was definitely right from the newer Thing. They actually threw that in there. That when it takes you over, it cannot keep in inorganic parts of you. That it rejects that part of you. And this was definitely, I thought, was a really nice nod to The Thing. But then it does it, and then it kind of fades back into being a melodrama. And I just think that it could have easily been done better. They had a hell of a cast. Come on. And the only character I didn't like was the cute little petite girl. I'm like, what the fuck does she do
Rose?
on an oil rig? The little tiny girl, the cute one with the curly hair. They had 3 females.
Right.
You had the lesbian former military medic, who I liked the character, but I felt like they screwed her over too, because she is probably, in reality, she would be the most together person on that rig because of her military background. 2, I liked the young lady from Schitt's Creek. She was a really good lead character. She worked in the office. She was what you would refer to as a manager. Which is where most of your females are that work on these rigs. Only 5% of all employees on those rigs are female. So that means you can go to probably about 100 rigs and never even meet a female. It would be all male. The reason why is it's difficult work, not just physically. You're out there for 6 months to a year, and you have to be able to separate.
Well, if 5% of them are women working on rigs, if you went to 100, then on 5 of them you'd meet women.
Well, the thing is, though, that 5% is spread out, so you could end up on rigs with no females.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what I'm saying. So that we had 3 females on this rig was pushing it, but I was fine with 2 of them. The other one, I'm like, she didn't make sense to me as a character, and
Which
what
one?
she was doing.
Rose?
The little petite girl. I can't remember her name.
I think her name was Heather.
Was it that really cute girl? She just was not. That's not roughneck material. She
wasn't.
The medic was roughneck material.
She worked in ops. She wasn't.
Is that what she was?
Yeah,
I couldn't figure out what she was doing.
Roughneck.
I couldn't figure out what she was doing. I couldn't figure out her job. I'm like, what does she do? I see her in here interacting with the roughnecks, but I never see her doing anything. So that's what she worked in ops.
Yeah, that's why Rose brought her down to help with the computer stuff.
See, now that makes sense. Okay, now I understand that character.
Now, as far as the women in the show, the thing about this show that really threw me for a loop was was it Sutton? Is Sutton the guy, the older man? He's from Game of Thrones. He was the one who got locked in his cabin for a day or 2. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the old Scotsman, right?
Okay, so he has the lesbian up against the wall, and she's pregnant. And first of all, she's a woman, and everybody's just staying in the chairs. Not one of those other men got up to
prevent
the
that.
fact just because she's working on the oil rig. I feel like still the men who were sitting in that meeting, their instincts would have kicked in, and they would have thrown him off.
Hands off her.
Yeah,
something like
and
that.
it wasn't
I agree.
until Heather had said that she's pregnant, wasn't until he backed off, and I didn't think that was the most unrealistic part. Other than all the spores and that kind of thing. But that was the one thing that took me out of the show. I thought that would never happen. There's no way all those guys would just sit there and let that happen to her.
No, I agree. Look, overall, I think it's a 50-50 show. I think it's 50% good, 25% and 25% bad. So I would say you get more good than you get bad in the show. You really do. But in the end, would I recommend the show? Probably not. I'm like, I would say, look, if you like The Mist and you like The Fog and want to see some nods to it, watch the flick. But their reactions to some of the elements that they were dealing with was just weird and off-putting, like not being suited up when dealing with these spores. I mean, just walking around. I'm like, fuck, I would. I would. I see those spores. No spores exist. Guess what? I am never getting out of a hazmat suit ever until we know they're all dead. Because you don't know what it's doing to you. That was the nice thing. Nod to the thing is you don't know when it takes you over what it's doing to you, and it clearly takes you over because all their will, the people that were infected, their will was altered. And that means you're no longer yourself, in my book. If your will and interests are no longer what they were, you've been altered to a point where you're no longer the person you were. And
now,
that's a threat.
I know that you said a movie or a show is only as good as its ending, Gary, but through
it's beginning and ending. Yeah.
Through episode 4, would you have recommended it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I even said that when we did our reviews that day on last Thursday. I said, up to that point, I would have recommended the show all the way to the end of episode 4. And then the beginning of episode 5 happens. And I'm just sort of sitting there like, is this happening now? Or is this a flat? Did I miss something? I was really confused by Coke's character. Yeah. And I went back to episode 1 going, did I miss something? And it just really threw me for a loop. And I was really put off by that. Episode 5 put me off.
Yeah, it kind of pissed me off that Coke showed up and everybody just started bowing down to him.
Yeah, the bad guy is
what
the powerful,
he thought was the best thing. It's like he hasn't even been
guy.
on this rig. What the hell does he know about the situation?
I know, he doesn't know shit.
Yeah. But overall, I haven't seen the end, so maybe the end is going to ruin it for me. But overall, I love the show. I hope that they make a season 2.
Episode 6 is better than episode 5.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think the first 4 episodes make it worth a watch.
Yeah.
Well, see, I had a different reaction to them all, deferring to Coke because he shows up and he flashes the badge that he is corporate. He is the company.
Yet there's no record of him.
Well, they didn't find that out till later. When he first gets there, he's got credentials that says he's he's the company. Well, he's going to take charge. That's what an executive would do. They would take charge. They, a smart one would find out what the lay of the land is first, but not all the executives are smart because, corporate tends to fail upwards.
Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't know. I mean, the circumstances were a little bit different based on, starting with that fog rolling in and then Baz falling and then, coming back to life. And I think that under a normal circumstance, yes, the executive shows up, then they're going to defer to him. But this was, I think at the time there was almost a supernatural element to it. And so I think they would have said, no, dude, you don't understand what's going on this rig. So
they should have done that. But the initial reaction,
I will tell you, Anima asked me a really good question and I want to go check. She said, it's like episode 5 and 6 were written by different people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that that would be interesting to find out if that's why it was so off.
Yeah.
You know, why it just didn't even feel like it was part of the same show.
Or were there other episodes that were cut out that
Good
kind
question,
of segued more into?
Was it like Swamp Thing, where they started with 13 and ended it at 10, and they had to compress all that story from the other 3 episodes into those ones, and it screwed the show because Swamp Thing fell apart after episode 7, because that's when the writing started falling apart, and I think that's what killed that show is AT&T coming in and trying to show we're in charge here and shutting the production down. And I maybe that's what happened here. I'm going to look into it because I got to tell you, I enjoyed episodes 1 through 4.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them.
They were definitely the best.
Yep. So
I don't even know how I heard about this show, because I had as soon as I heard about it, I think I watched a trailer, and then I messaged Zax because I thought it would be up Zax's alley, and he said that he had heard of it, but nobody's really talking about it. I was so excited to hear that you guys were talking about it, but it's like, where did this show come from? Especially
nobody
has
interest in it.
It's a really strong cast.
There's no promotion for this show.
Yeah,
I happened upon it by accident.
And I brought it up when we were doing our most looking forward to in 2023.
Oh, okay. You did bring it up. I don't remember you. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, remember we were talking about, and we were like, we were listing the usual stuff in the series that we're talking about. And I would, I'm looking forward to the rig because I saw the trailer for it on Amazon. I'm like,
I have no doubt. Cool. Yeah, I absolutely believe you on that one.
How long ago did you hear about it, John?
That was in December.
Yeah, it was in December.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I only saw it because on the day it got released, it ended up on one of the websites. Now, I have Amazon Prime, but guess what? I don't watch a lot of shows on Amazon Prime first. I watch it on the free site because I'm not going to let them get my numbers until I like it.
Oh.
Once I know I like it, then I let them count me. I'm funny about that. Paramount, I always tell people, if you want to protest Star Trek, go to Paramount, get your account, and don't add any of their Star Trek or watch any of their Star Trek on Paramount. And that is absolutely, you are actually giving them negative numbers by doing that.
Yeah, I don't watch Star Trek on Paramount. I use Paramount only to watch football.
I use Paramount to watch any of the good stuff written by Taylor Sheridan or SEAL Team. Those are the only 2 shows I watch on there. Now I did use it for a couple other classic shows, but mostly I can get those on Freevee, like Perry Mason. I have all 9 seasons on Freevee, and I love to watch Perry Mason. I can watch it over and over and over and over and over again. Have you ever seen it, Six?
Perry Mason,
the classic Perry Mason with Raymond Burr.
Never.
That was really one of the best shows on TV. And it was the second show CBS understood finally what reruns were. Because if you didn't know, nobody in network television knew what the fuck a rerun was until, what's his name? Desi Arnaz. Desi Arnaz is the first one to use it. And he wanted in their contract, his and Lucy's contract with CBS, rerun rights to Lucy. I Love Lucy. And they're like, what the fuck is a rerun? Seriously, that was actually asked in the meeting, like, what is a rerun? They didn't know what a rerun was. And it all came from fucking people have no idea how brilliant Desi Arnaz was. That guy knew what they were doing. He understood it at such a fundamental level. And he created reruns. And on top of that, without him, we wouldn't have had Mission Impossible or Star Trek.
Yep.
Lucy played a minor part in that too, but really him and their partner, who they ended up selling all the rights to in 1965 for Desi Lou, that guy really ran the show after that. But Desi absolutely established everything across the board. And Lucy absolutely trusted Desi to set this stuff up, and she would warn people and threaten them She threatened quite a few people. Don't fuck with it. My husband, he knows what he's doing. And that's the power she had. She wielded the power, and he wielded the understanding and authority of what they were trying to do. And so Perry Mason is like this show that I can just watch over and over again. It only one bad thing came from Perry Mason. It's the first legal drama on television. And the mistake that it makes is the confession on the stand. That is a misunderstanding that just only happens maybe 1% of the time, where a lawyer corners somebody into a position of, and they really never confess, hardly ever. They just realize, I'm not going to say another thing without a lawyer. And he catches the actual criminal, the murderer, on the stand. And that's, that's a fantasy. It's a lawyer fantasy, and it's not real. But past that, it's a great show. And he, along with Paul Drake, his private detective that he uses, work together as a team because he's a great detective. And that's why I like the new series, because that's how they show Perry Mason starting. He starts out as a detective that had a little bit of law school. And I fucking love that. And past some of the stuff in the new series, that's another show that I thought started out kind of weak, the new Perry Mason, but ended strong. The last 3 episodes were really good of the new Perry Mason show. And that's why I'm looking forward to the next season, because now they're getting into who Perry Mason was in the books as well as in the TV series. And if you haven't, go to Freevee 6, go to Freevee, and go check out a few episodes of Perry Mason. Highly recommend it. I'd like to see what you think of that.
I'll write it down. I'll put it on my list, my super long list.
It is, there are 2 major justices today who said Perry Mason got them started on their career and interest in law. And I don't doubt it. And it was one of the things that I considered doing, was going into law, because I am fascinated by law. Why I never went that way, it's self-esteem had a lot to do with it at the time. The military finally got me going in the right direction, but by that point, I'm like, no, I know what I want to be. I want to be a fucking lousy artist. Hack artist. Hack artist.
Well, I have to say
I did, Danny, dude. Stop derailing, man. Buddy, that's a private thing. Very personal, private.
While we've been talking, I had the 6th episode running on my phone, so I was just kind of watching with one eye, and I saw the
multitasking.
I saw, yeah. I wasn't reading. I had the captions up, but I wasn't reading anyway. I was just kind of looking at the screen because it did kind of go downhill. But I did see the
multitasking. That's cheating.
That's cheating. But I saw the scene you were referring to, Gary, when you said the reaction of the wife is not how anybody would react when the wave is coming.
Slow. You got a fucking wave coming at you.
Yeah, and you're just gonna stand there.
Seriously, the fear factor hits you, and you will become super energized in that moment.
Right.
Your heart is racing, and the last thing you do is slowly walk towards a French door.
I just wonder if when they filmed that, they told her, "You're seeing the fog rolling in."
I wondered that too, but in the end, I did visually like what they did. The whole shadow coming
that was
up.
good. Yeah, the shadow.
I thought visually it was really good. Her reaction was terrible. And I don't know if it's bad acting or bad direction on that. And it could be, just like you said, it could have been that originally it was going to be something else. Yeah. But that was where they kind of stole from The Abyss. So there were like 3 nods in that series to 3 different classic sci-fi films.
Good nods.
The Abyss with the tidal wave, The Fog with the mist, and The Thing with the infections.
Yeah, if you're gonna steal from some movies, they stole from.
Those are good ones to steal from.
Yeah,
and
but overall, I still recommend it. I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I think I enjoyed it just because it was. Yes, there was a little environmental message in there, which I'm not opposed to at all, but it wasn't. There wasn't an agenda. I think that they were just
No, I
trying to
thought
tell
they were
a
pretty
good story.
across the board with that. When
Yeah.
somebody
And I thought it was
brought
going to
up
be like a
climate
ghost story, though.
and the female scientist is like, scientists support that. And I'm like, oh my God. Whoa. I was like, that was very pleasing when she turned and said that.
And
You
thank
know?
goodness she wanted to be a geologist earlier in her career, so she could.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she knew all that stuff about the formation of the Earth and all that, and could run those tests and work a microscope.
Well,
so
the environmental message wasn't this.
How dare you?
That's the important thing.
Yeah. It wasn't in your face, or it wasn't, nobody was being made to feel guilty, I think.
Yeah.
No, and I like that. So anyway, I will make fun of one thing before we move on to Vox. Is Amazon produced a fucking drama biopic about Bezos.
About who? Bezos?
Bezos. And I'm just like, the ratings are really bad. It's got really bad reviews. And I'm like somebody was really sucking up to the boss to want to make that movie. You know what we need to do, boss? We need to make a movie about your life.
Yeah.
It's whatever. I just thought that was silly. I just saw it last night. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that movie. And it, like, out of 10, it had like a 4.6 rating. And I'm like, yeah, that's not good. But somebody kept their job over it. I'll tell you that. What's this, John?
Well, this is for when we start talking about Critical Role.
Oh, okay. I got to tell you, I really do like this show. And despite the fact that, yes, the entire cast is woke, you could tell by some of the stuff they say publicly. The show's not woke. The show is so fucking crude.
Yeah.
And just so edgy with its humor that it's very pleasing to all of us that are anti-woke. It's like, how can woke people they do. They put it out. And also, before we go into Vox, I wanted to point out again, Justin Roiland, charged with battery against his significant other, and fired from the show that he created and voices the two main characters. Fired. I'm like, how do you do that? How are they going to do this? It's his improvisational skills that led to a lot of the comedy on that show. And the previous season was crap. This last season, it felt like it came back, and I'm just like, well, that's it. The show's over.
Yeah, he also resigned from his game company that just put out that game, whatever it's called. I forgot the name of it, but it's basically you're talking to Morty as a gun. That's because he does all the voices and stuff. Yeah, High on Life. Yeah.
Oh, I don't believe that at all, Monkey Jeebus. I think that his weird improv led to a lot of the great comedy, including some of it. He was drunk. He would actually get drunk to deliver some of the Rick lines. So I don't know how they're going to recover from it.
Yeah, but I don't know either. But
I'm reading a comment right now.
I understand why they fired him, though.
No, and I get it, but at the same time, is he guilty? We don't know. I had to respond to somebody.
Dead there.
So, like I said, I had to respond to somebody in private chat real quick. I need to shut that window so I don't get into a conversation with them during a show. So, basically, Vox season 2 starts off with a bang.
Oh, yeah. Well, it picks up right where it left off. But I wanted to go into this article first before we start talking about Vox Machina because it kind of sets some things up. What it is that Amazon has made a deal with Critical Role. And not only are they going to bring their second campaign, The Mighty Nine, Amazon is an animated series. No word on when they've started working on that, or if they have, or when they are. But they've also, it's one of those deals where they have like first look at whatever they produce.
Right.
So, which ties into what Chinosky said about Wizards of the Coast, saying looked at Critical Role and said, how can we own this? With that whole OGL thing we were talking about the other day on Tuesday. This puts them seriously outside of the reach of anything Wizards of the Coast could possibly do. It's moved beyond just D&D, and they could go back and use Pathfinder, because when they originally started, it was Pathfinder. That was the game system they played, but they switched to D&D because they got a deal with D&D Beyond, and they started using D&D as the base game system they were playing.
Again, I want to point out that you're one of those nerds that we called nerd.
I know, but I think some context, at least as far as what's going on in the background.
I appreciate it, but it's like I'm sitting here and I'm like not engaged. I don't know what the fuck you're talking.
John, I'm totally engaged.
Yeah, six is a nerd like you.
So, but anyway, to start off with Vox Machina, yes, it starts off with a bang. It starts off exactly where season 1 left off, with the dragons coming in.
Right.
They attack them on, and it is a vicious, bloody attack. There are 4 dragons. One of each color is part of the Chroma Conclave, who is what the group of dragons is called. But there's 5 colors. They already killed Brimscythe in the last, if you remember, the blue dragon they killed.
Yeah.
He was part of the Chroma Conclave. And that's Brimscythe, yes. The blue dragon. Which they killed by accident. I mean, it wasn't really, But anyway, so it starts off there. The dragons attack. You see initially the first dragon that actually gets up to the sovereign and the council and everybody who's there at the palace in the Cloud Top district is the green, and she breathes her chlorine gas all over them, and people start dying because it's poisonous. Alora throws up a shield, and Sovereign doesn't make it into the shield. And so he dies from the chlorine gas. So he's dead. Which is not, that's just the beginning of that. I mean, they go through.
It's a graphic death too.
Yeah. It's just
he shows the relief that he knows they made it.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
Yeah, as blood starts pouring from his nose and his mouth and his eyes and everything. Yeah. But so basically, there's a whole big fight. The dragons are attacking, and they go to breathe, or the white dragon breathes on Vox Machina, but Gilmore throws up a shield above them that splits the ice attack, and so the party split now, and so they're supposed to rendezvous at Gilmore's. So they're going. They're both going their own ways, and they run into one group is Keyleth, Scanlan, Grog, and Vex, and the other one is Percy, Pike, Vex, and so basically they run into it. They run into like the green dragon first, the group with Keyleth in it, and she uses her wind, and there's this big fight. So there's a fight, and the other group runs into the acid breathing black dragon, and Percy saves Vex, knocks him out of the way, and takes the acid attack on his arm. And so he's badly wounded, and they have to heal him up. So basically, they announced that they've, they announced that over the city that the city is now ruled by the Chroma Conclave. There's Thorak, which is the red dragon, who has a large, massive gem inset into his chest. A big red gem. And then there's the acid dragon Umbasil. There's Vorgel, who's the ice dragon, and then Rashan, she breathes.
Yeah, the ice dragon scene was really fucking cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of blood in that too.
Yeah, I love the way that it would just like shards of ice would show up and you'd see the silhouette of people trapped inside the ice and the blood, and it's just like, oh,
yeah,
that was really good visually. That was a really
good
scene.
I mean the art is great in this series, and the group that the animation company that they partnered with does a really good job. But so they're all supposed to meet at Gilmore's shop. They finally rendezvous. They're heading into Gilmore's. Well, Gilmore's is rubble because part of an airship fell on it, and so they're digging through looking for Gilmore. They find him. There's this really cute scene where he flirts with Vax because that's their whole dynamic through the whole campaign was him flirting with Vax. Because if you didn't know it, Gilmore's gay. So. But yeah, he finally says,
I don't think he's totally gay. Which one? No, I'm thinking of the one that he's in love with. Because Gilmore was gay. Like, we knew he was gay.
Gilmore's gay. Yeah, the shop owner's gay.
But the young man, I think he's just, trisexual, bisexual, what do you want to say?
Yeah, that's what he is. Because he eventually
he's attracted to whoever.
He eventually has a thing with Keyleth, but that's later. You can actually see him some shades of that later on in the series, later on in these episodes, especially after they've in episode 3. But so they find Gilmore. That he's like, well, take whatever he's under some rubble. Grog moves the rubble out of the way. Pike heals as best as she could, but she's tapped out. So they get him up, and he's like, well, take whatever you want. And unfortunately, one of the dragons is there's the fire explosions coming for them, and they've got to go. And there's this whole montage before while they're grabbing items where Scanlan will go to grab an magic item, but somebody else grabs it before him. So he ends up with the broom that he thinks is the lamest item in the world, but it's actually a broom of flying. So there's this whole sequence, but Gilmore uses a magic gem to teleport them back to the keep. And unfortunately, while they're there, a bunch, because they're the heroes of the city, a bunch of refugees has come from the city and fled to their keep. Well, the white dragon is chasing all these refugees, trying to kill them off because nobody's supposed to leave the city. That was part of Thordak's. His other name's the Cinder King, but that was part of his declaration that nobody should leave or you'll be killed. You're here to serve me. And so they go after the survivors, and Keyleth opens up another tree portal.
Yep.
Back to Whitestone. And at the beginning, you see Cassandra and what's her name? Gina Torres' character.
Right.
I forgot what her name is. But they're talking and they see you see the thing open up and all the refugees start pouring out. And then they finally come through and they make it there. and Keeper Yenin. That's who it is. So they have like after everybody's settled, they're like, we'll take the refugees for shelter, take the ones that are separate the ones that are hurt, we'll take them for healing. But they eventually they meet in the castle, and they're discussing what to do. Well, they decide Yenin says that they should go to Vasselheim to try and find an army, because it's like the biggest city in the realm, and it's got like, it's where all the religious centers are. So it's got like a bunch of armies and stuff that are all there. But Scanlan's kind of, he's kind of down on it. Him and Grog are up on top of the castle talking, and Scanlan's like, oh, we can't do anything. We're just a bunch of fuck ups. And but you see the light come up on this, the sun come up on the city, and they're looking out over the city from the castle, and They see that north end that got destroyed in the last season being rebuilt. And Keyleth says, well, we didn't save the city, we saved the people. And so they finally get their shit together. So they're they decide to go to Vasselheim to help try and find, some help for Mon. But Keyleth has to know what the tree looks like in order to transport them safely. Well, she gets a kind of a description from Keeper Yellen, and she describes the tree as, it was an oak tree or a willow or walnut or something. So she didn't get quite a good description of the tree. So that's where that leaves off, as they're going through the portal that she's opened up somewhere, possibly Vasselheim. We don't know yet. But that's the end of episode 1.
And I really enjoyed episode 1. Like I said, I didn't get to finish episode 3 last night, but I got through episode 1 and 2, and they went by almost too quickly for me.
Yeah, and they're longer episodes. They increased each episode time by 3 minutes.
Yeah. And it's like, by the end of the episode, I'm like, no, the storytelling in this is really good. And is it from the gameplay that these stories became so good?
This is straight lifted from the gameplay. I mean, there's some things they made changes, because there's some things that didn't translate well, because when you try to adapt something, not everything's going to automatically adapt well.
Well, I like that Pike saved the shop owner. He's like, I'm going to die. And it's just, I fucking loved it. I love that show. Six shared with me the new Shazam trailer. I'm going to have to check this shit out here in a minute.
I didn't know there was a new one. I'll check it out after the show.
It's the new one. I don't know. Should I try playing it during the show and just worry about it later when I get claimed?
Yeah, when you get claimed, you can trim it out.
Pause it.
Yeah, I'll do that, Six. I'll do that. All right, we are at the midway point of the show where we normally do our commercial break. So now that I have the commercials up, I'm going to go ahead and play them. So this is where's our commercial break? Did I not add them? I thought I added them.
Yeah, we played it. Remember we played it.
Yeah, yesterday. We used it yesterday.
Yeah, there it is. I see it. Hi guys, this is Gerry from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
A birthday without her mom, an anniversary without her husband, her wedding day without her dad. These are the days when military families feel it most of all. The loss of their soldier, their sailor, their airman, their Marine, their Coast Guardsman. Families never forget their loved ones lost to war or illness or suicide. Families never forget, and neither do we. We are TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. We provide resources, support, and comfort to heal the hearts and meet the needs of grieving military families, all at no cost to them. Your generosity can make an enormous difference in the lives of the families of our fallen military heroes. Our military families need to know they are not alone and they are not forgotten. Show them your support at TAPS.org.
Question facing humanity is on the
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh, wow, we survived. Welcome back from the commercial break. Now for some more pop culture minefield on KGRA. I wasn't drunk. I swear to God, I wasn't drunk when I recorded those.
No, you don't sound
Don enjoys them. He thought they were so retarded. It's like, with your voice, it's so dumb. But the guy that does the KGRA promo, that's our boss. That's Bill. Station manager, and he's a lot of fun, man. He is a lot of fun. I like that guy so much. But anyway, I can't find the link you sent me. Where did you send it? Six.
The link that I sent you on Twitter was of that new trailer that,
because I'm not seeing in the personal one, I see a link to Grog Nightmare, the Legend of Vox Machina. I see the sneak preview link you sent, but I do not see Shazam.
Shazam, I did not send you. I tweeted it out. It's on my Twitter.
Oh, okay. Let me go to your Twitter then. I want to check this out.
But I didn't send it to you.
Let me go take a peek at that because I really would like to see that. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. There it is. All right. No, don't play now. I want to go to YouTube. I hate it when it does that. You click on it and it opens up in Twitter. And I'm like, no, I don't want to watch it on Twitter. Should we watch it now, guys?
Yeah.
And I'll pause it like how many seconds?
7.
7 seconds.
Can you count that high?
Shut up, 6. Meanie.
Maybe have Martin count it for you.
Yeah, Martin can't count. No. It's John. John sucks at counting.
That's right. I'm the one that lets it play too long.
I'm like, your counting sucks, man. Here we go. Let's go. Ooh, something's protruding. Is that ballpark happy, or is that just a rock coming out?
That's a good one, Gerry.
We are at war. We will annihilate everything.
Helen Mirren is the bomb.
Yeah.
She is a Moab, mother of all bombs.
She's just cool.
Yeah.
She's still hot too.
The Matrix. It looks like they're going to work towards his costume being black at the end. Because he's covered in black now.
Yeah.
From all the burns.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, I'll see if there's any more. Nope, that's it. We're going to stop playing. That looks good, man. Looks good.
It's very good.
No, I mean, that's the end of it for Shazam. Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Read by Nature. The Flash is the final of the Snyder created characters. But Shazam, Captain Marvel was not created by Snyder. They could probably continue it if they want to, but its connection to Black Adam is problematic. And I think that's probably going to be the death of it.
Unless they just ignore it.
I don't know. I don't know if James Gunn is a bit of a troll. If you haven't picked that up, people are like, man, James Gunn shuts down fan nerd. And it's like, you act like that's a good thing. That when you start attacking the fan community, mocking the fan community, a lot of those in the fan community are bothered by that. It's like, well, are you picking and choosing who you're mocking, or are you just going to mock any fan? That's why it's really, you shouldn't do that. It's a practice. It's bad business. In marketing, they teach you don't do that. But Gunn, came from a long school of trolls, just like Ruin Johnson.
Yep.
I was following Ryan way before Star Wars, and I saw what he was. Him and his two friends were fucking trolls, and the three of them would rotate and just fucking go after people, and mocking comic book fans, sci-fi nerds, and it would just troll the shit out of them. And when you heard that he had to delete 10,000 tweets, everybody thought, oh, he must have said something. No, it had nothing to do with that. It was him and his two friends trolling other people that he deleted those 10,000 posts. I followed that cocksucker.
The same people that he's depending on to watch his movie.
Yeah, right. I trust James Gunn with the DCEU the same percentage as I trust Lizzo with 24 hot, fresh glazed donuts. I don't even know what that means, but it's funny as shit.
So hungry.
Now I want donuts. Yeah, thanks, Dredd. No, Gunn is definitely, Reed. He's definitely crossed some lines. And look, I don't know what the fuck. It seemed like they were on the right path, and then all of a sudden everything went nuts. I don't want to say that it's as bad as this, but I think that this clip, where's it at? I got to find it. My God, I've got so many videos in here. Here it is. This is what I feel of Warner Brothers right now.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
That's how it feels. And so, because I'm in that private chat with Tom, Andre, and Mikey Sutton, and I told all of them, I said, I've lost my passion right now for talking about DC too much. I really have. I still have hopes, but I'm not going to participate too much in it. We do have Mikey coming on tomorrow, 6, by the way, Mikey Sutton from Geekosity, and he's got a huge scoop. It is not what everybody is probably thinking, but it is big. And I'm not allowed to say even in the ballpark what it is. He has told me to swear to silence. So I've shut my damn mouth, just saying that when Mikey comes on tomorrow for TGIF, it's going to be a big scoop.
How many Shazam movies are out already?
Just
we
one.
have one, and then we'll have this one. And I don't think we're going to get past it. I really think this is the end of it for Shazam. But I got to tell you, he was sure trying to keep him going. See that ski trip photo? Suck it up to the boss in the photo.
Yeah, I don't love the actor. He doesn't scream.
Zachary Levi is good at comedy.
Yeah.
He's really good at comedy. It's his thing. Chuck was one of my favorite shows. But I watched Chuck for the girl and for Adam Baldwin, because Adam Baldwin is the fucking shit. He's the real deal. Animal Mother from Full Metal Jacket.
I watched it because that's what I do is tech, and so that's that whole.
I like this little buddy that he worked with too at the store.
Yeah,
the little Hispanic actor. He's a good actor. I like him. But Chuck was a good show. I wish they do a revival of it, like a movie every once in a while, because those are fun characters.
Yeah.
You fall in love with characters. But yeah, I don't think he's a very good actor, Zachary Levi. And the only reason why this works is because you realize he's playing a child. 6. When you watch it, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's big. He's an adult body, but he is the little boy, Billy Batson.
Yeah, I'm ordering it on Amazon right now.
Oh, you should have. No. I have a copy. I can share with you.
That's illegal.
Really? Really? That's a crime,
isn't it?
To watch a film with a friend.
Well,
if you just happen to be watching it while I'm watching it.
Not if it's porn.
Oh my God, you went there. Oh my God, Six, you killed me. But anyway, let's get on to episode 2 and 3. We can get through them in a half hour.
Yeah,
just sum them up.
All right. Well, it opens up with, because if you remember, Keyleth had opened the
tree gate.
The tree gate, yeah. And so Scanlan's the first one through because he's
Scanlan.
That kind of guy. He's Scanlan, yeah. Well, turns out the tree is sticking 90 degrees out of a cliff. And so they basically all go tumbling off. Keyleth turns into a giant eagle and grabs Pike and the twins. But Scanlan has to do something, so he basically summons a giant pair of boobs for him and Pike to land on. Then Grog finally hits him. So there's some boob jokes. But they look up and they realize that, yes, they've made it to Vasselheim. So they go down, they go to the gate. The guard's like, "What's your business?" And Percy starts in with "I am Percival de Rollo." I don't remember his whole name because it's ridiculously long. And, basically gets shut down by the guards. Like, I don't care, go on and go talk to the, was it the Platinum Sanctuary on your own? But he says good day, but Grog thinks he says bidet. So as they're walking into town, he's telling everybody bidet.
Bidet.
Yeah, that's the running joke. It's like Grog always says bidet instead of good day.
Like the butt cleaner?
Yeah, like the butt cleaner.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, they get in there.
Raunchy humor. I love the comedy of this show.
It's definitely not highbrow.
No, very, very in the gutter.
So they they go through town. They finally make it to the Platinum Sanctuary, and they get first Scanlan complains that there aren't any brothels, but there's plenty of temples because it's a big religious center. And but Percy's like, "Well, I'll lead the negotiations," and Pike's like, "No, we saw how your negotiation skills worked at the gate. I'll handle this. I'm the holy person." And so they go in, they get an audience, and they start into their spiel, and she's High Bearer Vard's like, "Well, we'll let the water tell us what happened," and so she uses the magic of the city to show what happened in Iman with the dragons. And she's like, "Well, you have our sympathy and our hospitality, but we can't give you armies." And they're basically why you're the strongest city on the continent. That it's like, well, yeah, because we're also the most secure. We're not basically we're not going to help you. So they're kicked out, and Scanlan makes a joke about how that's the fastest he's ever been kicked out of a palace. So he says it usually takes us 10 minutes to get kicked out. But one of the people that the helpers or servants of High Bearer Vard catches them as they go as they're outside, and says, "Hey, maybe you go see the Slayer's Take." That's what they kind of do is kill monsters. So they can help you. Well, Slayer's Take is a guild of monster hunters. Vex and Vax didn't want to. Well, you'll find out later. But they decide to go see Slayer's Take anyway. So they go off. Well, Grog's walking along going, I'm hungry, and everybody goes to walk towards the Slayer's Take. He goes into a tavern and gets food and drink and leaves them on their own. Well, they go to the Slayer's Take, and turns out that Vex and Vax had been with the Slayer's Take before, and they had ended up poaching one of their bounties. So they have a price on their head from Slayer's Take of either 12,000 gold, or which was the price of the bounty, or Hydra head. And so there's this big there's this big scuffle and stuff, and the that they're like, they're expecting Grog, and they realize Grog isn't with them, and they're like, oh crap, we got to get into this huge fight without Grog. But eventually the patron that they're there to speak to says that they'll handle them, and they're dropped Rancor style down in the down into a pit.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, all this is happening. Grog has gone and sated his hunger at the tavern, and he's walking over. He leaves, and he notices that there's this temple with this huge warrior on it, and he's like, ooh. So he goes over there and checks out this temple. Well, he gets in a fight he meets a monk named Earthbreaker Groon, who keeps asking where his strength comes from. And of course, he's basically an old man monk, but he's a big buff guy. But so they get into this big fight, and there's this whole thing, you can imagine how this goes with Grog getting the crap kicked out of him by a monk, knocking him around and stuff and beating him up. And
now, I swear to God, that sounded like Keith David.
No, actually, the monk is.
Yeah, I went and looked on IMDb, and I'm like, wow, that really sounded like Keith David to me.
Yeah, well, it's the same guy that plays the Sovereign, Corey Patton. Yeah, because he's actually a member that's a guest member of Vox Machina. He's actually got a character that he's played. He's been a guest on the show several times. Because they've got a lot of their friends from Hollywood that have actually shown up. Some of the more nerdy Hollywood people have had guest spots on the show. But anyway, so while they've been dropped down, there's this they meet Vox Machina minus Grog meets Sissia, who is a Sphinx of all things. And that's who the patron of the Slayer Takes is. And after pointing out that all their weaknesses and why they're not prepared for this, it takes Pike finally standing up and saying, no, we're here to get help for Amon, and we're not going to take no for an answer. And she's like, are you willing to die? And they're like, we don't care if we die, we just need to take care of these dragons.
Yeah, I like that moment when they said, we don't care if we die. I like that was just thrown out there. It's like, holy shit, that's a hell of a thing to say. I don't care if you kill us.
They're prepared for as long as Amon gets help. Yep. So Sissia says, well, now that I can see that you're willing to sacrifice and do what it takes, she tells them about some magic items called the Vestiges of Divergence, which are items left over from when the mortals kicked the gods out of the physical realm. And there's one of them nearby who's it's the armor of the Raven Queen that belonged to her champion.
Right.
Now there's something that I've this reminds me, I forgot to mention during the fight in the dragon fight. Vax is seeing this ghostly masked woman. He's seen her twice so far. He saw her once on the battlefield with the dragons,
right,
going towards obviously somebody who's died, and he saw her again on top of the roof of what is her temple of the Raven Queen in Vasselheim. So he's seen this ghostly figure twice so far, because this is important. This is not important for like episode 3, but it's important for
the ongoing story.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's part of the story. But yeah, so that ends up they go outside, and Percy gets distracted, finds a gunpowder shop of all things. And the shop owner's just like completely ludicrous, insane old geezer. He's like missing fingers and stuff, but he finds out that Ripley from last season, the one-armed inventor that had tortured Percy, that's on his list, is the only person that's bought gunpowder from that shop. So he knows that Ripley's around.
And by the way, when I saw the missing fingers, I'm like, there's a guy that doesn't know how to handle gunpowder.
Nope. But so they catch up with Grog. Grog comes out, he's all beat up, and they're like, "What happened? I got beat up by an old man."
And by the way, Monkey, he's not that kind of monk. I took him as what's referred to as a warrior monk. That warfare is his religion. His religion is warfare. So he's a monk of warfare.
Yeah, and that's who he's
not like a kung fu. What do you call them? The monks, Tibetan monks. It's different. It's not a religion that he's a monk of. He is a monk of warfare, and you talk about it's not about fighting. It's about warfare with him. Are you combat effective?
Are you a warrior?
Yeah, because it's more the willingness to do something necessary, not just knowing how to fight. Are you going to take the hit and be able to deliver another hit back? It's interesting. That's the interpretation of what I'm getting from this. I know nothing of the game or their religion, but that's how I interpreted that. Is they're all about the warfare. This is a warrior. Gunpowder is only dangerous when compacted. I can actually personally tell you some other ways that it's dangerous.
It's dangerous as a powder, flung up in the air and ignited.
There's several ways you can use gunpowder and cause problems for other people. Because that was one of the ways that in special forces, and I've read a lot on what they did, using gunpowder to do lots of different things with it, including putting it in food, make people sick. And if you didn't know that, I think there's a movie that actually does that. John Wayne talks about it in one of his films, where they're trying to cure Robert Mitchum. Is it Rio Lobo? I think it's Rio Lobo, the one with Robert Mitchum when he's the town drunk. He's the sheriff and the town drunk.
Okay.
And to one of the remedies they use is an old remedy, which includes it's got Tabasco sauce and gunpowder. And what it does, it just makes you fucking throw up and give you the shits. It's a poison. It's poison. Just not enough to kill you if it's done right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, definitely read as a sandwich spread, but keep going. I'm sorry,
bad.
John.
That's fine. Well, episode 3 opens up with a vision that Pike's having, where she's seeing that Thordak is, that the people are bringing him, whatever offerings they have, and he's complaining about their how lackluster they are. Well, the dragons all show up. They gather up for a meeting, kind of thing, and they find out that all the cities are all the treasures in the city have already been gathered.
This is where I left off, by the way, John. this scene. I'm about halfway through.
Okay. Yeah, that's yeah. You're missing. Yeah, you haven't got to the good stuff. So, but Thordak's complaining. They find out that they're starting to expand their empire. That some of the other regions are already starting to buckle under them. So
Shaolin monk. I'm sorry. Keep
yes. So Thordak says, "Well, you guys, you aren't necessary anymore." And he breathes, and that's when Pike wakes up because she's freaking out because she couldn't save him. And so they're and you find out they're in the forest. Well, they they had sent Vax to go scout ahead, and they find out that where the temple's supposed to be is this lake, and there's no temple they can see. So Scanlan's gonna go, well, I'll go check it out. He's skating on, instead of a hand, he's turned his Scanlan's hand into a Scanlan's foot, and he's skating across the ice. Well, something bumps the ice and he falls, and then grabs him from behind, but they're saved by Zara and Cash, who had followed them. Well, obviously the twins don't trust them because they followed him, and so they're she's like, well, I'll after saving you, we'll discuss it over a campfire. So they build camp, and they were talking about some haul that they had, and Scanlan's like, oh, we got or Vex is like, oh, we had a major haul too, and starts dumping. Scanlan has the bag of holding and says, oh, you mean the stuff we got from Gilmore's? And so she dumps it all out in the broom hands. It falls. It's the last thing. And of course,
I do want to go back to when he says he's trying to limit what they take.
Yeah.
He's all, fuck it, take it all.
Yeah. He's like, take it from the discount. Yeah, take everything.
Fuck it, just take everything.
But so they dump it off, and the last thing to hit, of course, is the broom, and they're joking about how special that making fun of the broom, and obviously the brooms, with them doing that, they're pointing out that yes, that broom's going to be important later on. But one of the things that they pull out, Grog pulls out the belt that he puts on, and it gives him a beard. It's actually like the belt Dwarvish might, but it gives him a full beard, and that's like his big thing now is his beard. You know how Grog is.
Yeah, Grog and what's his name are my two favorite characters. Vax,
Scanlan.
Oh,
Vax.
Yeah. No, Scanlan. Those are my two favorite characters I watch. I also like what's her name, Pike.
Yeah,
she's a good character. The other characters are interesting, but those three sell the show for me. And Grog, with whatever he says, is just so fucking funny.
Oh yeah,
like when that warrior's asking him, why do you fight? What drives you to fight? And he goes, my soul, kind of stuff.
He's like, I know, I bet you're expecting me to say my muscles or my rage, but we all know what you want me to say is my heart.
And nope, that's not it at all. And he kicks the shit out of him.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, I interrupted again. Keep going, buddy.
That's fine. The Grog in this show is not a lot, but slightly stupider than the Grog from the actual game. They've exaggerated it for the show.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Delivers. He really does deliver a good job.
Grog was doing dumb shit in the game the whole time, but they've amped it up for the comedic factor in the for the show. So
dumb, but he's got a lot of heart. That's why I like him.
So in the morning, they go to the lake and they're like, see no temple. And Zara reveals that the temple's actually underwater. So Keyleth and Zara use their powers to combine their powers to like part the water like Moses, and Zara holds it back, and they go into the temple, and they're like, okay, well they're in this temple, and it's the water is back over them again, and so they're going through. They're trying to find out where this armor is. They're running into traps, which of course Grog sets off, and they fight these fishman creatures. I think. Well, actually, before that, they get separated. Because Grog sets off a trap that ends up separating them. So you've got half the group. Vex and Vax are separate. You got half the group that's with them, and the other half is with Vex. And so you got Vex, Pike, Trinket, which is the bear, Grog, and Zara, and everybody else is with Cash. So they're going through. They find, they fight some fishmen. There's this big fight. But during this fight, the rest of the group shows up, and then at the end of it, Cash, there's the leader of the fishmen who's a mage of some kind, has a bunch of water powers, and they end up killing him off. But during the fight, Zara and Cash leave during the fight, and they take off. Well, they find a hidden temple, hidden door, and they go through it. Well, that wasn't what he was actually looking for. You find out that there was another thing that lit up when he used that spell. And so the rest of the group comes in. They finally catch up. They find Trinket actually finds it because he's sniffing at it, and Percy actually triggers it and brings up the actual tomb of the champion. And so, but Vax has found a hole, and he's like, well, there's some stuff down there. Let's go look at it. And so while Grog is holding the rope for Vax to go down and check out this hole that's got, some treasure in it that looks like, Percy and Vex are checking out the sarcophagus, and they open it up, and Percy touches it, and this beam shoots out and hits Vex and kills her. So, so you're left at the end of it. You're left with, they yell for Vax. He climbs back up, thinking, no, they can't leave him for 5 seconds, and without them messing. And then he sees it, and he freaks out. And he's crying over her. But yeah, that's where it ends. She's dead in his arms.
Holy shit! I haven't gotten there yet. Holy crap! Hell of a way to start a season.
Yep. Well, this happened in the game. She died in the game, so I know what happens. But
man, are we going to pull a Spock from Star Trek, Wrath of Khan? Search for Spock.
Not exactly.
Yeah, but kinda. Hey guys, that was a fun episode today. I like that show. I really do. If you've not checked it out, Six, you should check out Vox Machina. We should do watch parties. That'd be kind of fun. A little private watch party.
I watched a clip of it on YouTube, and it doesn't look like it's not an interest of mine.
Oh, that sucks. Only because of the fact that it'd be kind of cool to have you on to talk about this stuff. But now, if it's not your cup of tea, I get it. It's not quite my wheelhouse, mate. And so
I'm a big fan, but like I said, I've been a big fan of Critical Role for.
I just like
years.
Good comedy and things that tickle me. And those three characters, I like Pike, I like Scanlan, and I like Grog. Rest of the characters are okay. They're like just not interesting to me. Those 3 characters are the ones I find interesting.
Yeah.
They will probably drop this weekend, right?
Yep. Friday is episode 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. So, and then we'll be talking about those next Thursday. And when if they get a second season 6, I'd like you to join in and talk about the rig.
I would love that. Yes, I'm in.
Are there any new shows that you would like to talk about? We could split the episodes up, an hour about one show, an hour about another show. Because that's what Thursday is for. It's for talking about shows that we want to talk about.
No, I don't know what, because like I had messaged, it was either you or Anima I had messaged, and I was like, hey, let me know what you guys are talking about next so I can like start watching and jump in, because I think it's fun to, you know, get together with a bunch of people and talk about a show that we're all watching.
Now, I will tell you this, Saturday Morning Fun Time is now all about either a great TV show or a great movie. I just want to move forward being more proactive. I'm trying to get away from talking about the entertainment industry because I'm so frustrated with it that I just lost my luster for it. Because you know, when that shit went down with Warner Brothers, it just sort of broke me.
Well,
and I'm not shitting you, Six. This happened. I was on a date night with Anima, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. She'd stayed up way past her bedtime, and in the middle of date night, Mikey Sutton just starts dropping truth bombs about what's happening at Warner Brothers, and I can't talk about any of this stuff. It's like almost 10 days before the news broke of what had happened over at Warner Brothers. And I already knew over a week before. And Anima's like, are you okay? And I'm like, what the fuck? What? I was losing my fucking mind. I was just, and that was it. It was like the Hindenburg going down. My passion was the Hindenburg, and I just lost it. And I said, yeah, I'm done. And I also told Mikey Sutton, you are no longer allowed to message me after 1 o'clock in the morning. Because, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. And you wielded that power very menacingly because he fucking broke me that night. Are there any new sci-fi shows dropping on cable? I don't know what's happening right now as far as new shows. I'm trying to get caught up on it. What, John?
Last of Us. The Last of Us is excellent.
I still haven't watched it yet, but everybody that's a friend of mine that I trust their reviews is telling me, give it a shot.
Yeah.
And one of them even told me the reason it's so good is because the 2 leads broke the rules and played the game or watched somebody play the game and watch the cutscenes to understand the characters better.
Yeah.
And
they've got the characters down pat.
And so they said, because of that, the show really is close to the mark of the game. And I went, well, okay, I'll give it a try.
There's some differences, but it's faithful to the spirit of the game. Let's put it that way.
All right. I know that
I haven't played the game. Am I going to be lost?
Wait till the.
I didn't like the game. I got to be honest. Since I just got bored with it. I played the first half of the first game, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not into this. You know, I'd rather go play Red Dead Redemption or Call of Duty.
Yeah, but I haven't played it, so am I going to be lost when I watch the show?
I don't think so, because I didn't really finish the game, so I'm still I'm looking for the story. I want a story that's interesting. I watched the first 2 minutes of the pilot episode, the first episode, and I like the description and the scene where we see these 2 guys arguing about what'll destroy all life on Earth. And they're arguing between what's dangerous, viruses, bacteria, or fungus. And that one guy goes off about fungus. He goes, what the fuck happened?
I got kicked.
I didn't do.
That was bizarre. Did we lose our?
Whoa!
We got kicked. Everybody got kicked.
We're still live.
Yeah, I know we are, but that was really fucking weird. I'll tell Six to rejoin. Somebody talk while I'm doing this.
Yeah, Last of Us is a really good show. You don't need to have played the game or even know what the game's story is to watch the show, because they do a really because like you said, it starts out with the with that interview from '63 about what's going to about is it going to be virus, is it going to be what, and he's like, no, it's fungus that's going to kill us.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was interesting because viruses will survive, because I always said 1% of everybody is we got two Martins. What the fuck happened there? What the fuck? Something's going on with StreamYards, man.
Yeah, it hiccuped.
That was really weird. Rejoin us,
Hey,
Six.
Six.
We all got kicked.
Can't you jump?
It didn't end the show, though.
That was weird. Yeah.
That's the weirdest part, is that it kicked us, but didn't end the show. So, yeah, rejoin us, Six, so we can say goodbye. But, yeah, fungus among us. He said that a fungus is far more deadly.
All it takes is, it's like, well, cordyceps can't affect a human brain. It's like it's humans are too warm. It's like all it'll take is a fungus mutating enough to where it can stand warmer temperatures.
Yep. And that's scary. So I enjoyed that opening scene. That's all I've seen, is that opening scene. And that's that Swedish actor, by the way. That's the taller.
Yeah, I forgot what his name is.
Is
and
he
also,
a regular in the show? Because I love him as an actor.
No,
He's just in that scene.
Him and the guy that played the swarmy guy in
add her back in.
Plays the swarmy guy in the Mummy movies. The brother.
Yeah.
He's the guy that talking about the fungus.
Yeah,
But,
and it's a really good moment. It's all I've seen so far, and I like that scene. I'm like, yeah, if you want to be scared, because I tell people all the time, they make it sound like a apocalyptic virus or bacteria. It's like, no, there's always 1% of the human populace that mutates and is immune.
Yeah,
and we saw that with even the last 2 years. There are people that were carriers and weren't infected. That's part of that mutation that I keep talking about. We learned I learned it in school, going to medical school. And there's always going to be that 1%, 1 percentile that absolutely doesn't get infected. There'll be a percentage that survive and a percentage who aren't impacted at all because of a mutation. And so humans will survive, but fungus, there's no immunity to fungus.
Nope.
And that's scary as shit.
Read this.
I talked to Boston about my college.
Anyway, but the first episode, the first part of the episode, first half of it deals with what happens when the thing happens.
The event, right.
And it gives you an insight into Joel, who's the main character, the main male lead, played by what's his face from Mandalorian. Yeah. So it gives you it sets him up so you understand where he's coming from.
I don't want you to get scared, but there are 2 Martins in the house right now.
Yeah, replicated.
Great. They're everywhere.
Don't freak out. This is so weird. Which one's you? Kick the other one.
I don't know.
You don't know?
The one above me is the one that...
Hey, Martin. Martin?
Bye, Martin.
It was the other one. That was him.
I don't know.
Gotta love
StreamYard. Freaky. This is so freaky. What a way to end the show. StreamYard had a fucking hiccup, man. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen happen. That's the real Martin right there. Martin?
Yeah.
There he is.
No.
Martin?
Yeah.
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 All right.
Okay.
We got the right one.
Okay, nobody move.
Nobody move. This is
yeah,
like
I'm definitely
Thing.
going to try that show.
This is the couch scene from The Thing.
By the way, and that kind of stuff. And
this weekend, by the way, I'm looking forward to this episode of Saturday Morning Fun Time. I'm going to be going over not only my 10 favorite films of all time, I'm going to discuss the 10 best scenes in each one. You know, one scene from each film that made that film. And it's going to be fun. I'll tell you, Blade Runner's in there.
No way.
I think everybody knows.
No.
I think everybody knows what scene it is, too. Yep. It's an obvious one. But
the white unicorn running out of the river?
The Thing is in there. Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, Conan the Barbarian, just 10 films, Wrath of Khan. And some of the scenes aren't going to be scenes you think it is. And I think they're character-driven moments within each one of those films that have these very specific scenes that really fucking nailed the movie for me. And Blade Runner obviously is going to be obvious. It's the fucking rooftop scene. Yeah. I've seen things, you know. Rutger, what he did in that, he took the script. It was a 2-page script that he had, 2 pages of dialogue, went into his trailer, came out with new dialogue, and some of it truncated, but he added to it. The Tears and Rain was his. He added that. And fucking nailed that scene, man. Everybody was like, what the fuck? Like, everybody was like just taken with that. How many of the scenes deal with backdoors? Che, it could be all of them. I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying it is. I'm saying show up and you'll find out, motherfucker. And for all the backdoor comments today, you get one major video, and it's going to be one of my favorites is from Vox Machina.
Front door team and backdoor team.
You know, Scan Dog's all about the back door, but
quick question.
Scanlon in the back door. Everybody, I want you to have a great day. I'm going to be doing art the rest of the day, and then I've got a meeting in the morning with one of my clients. Everybody have a great day. Six, thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's so good hanging out with you. You are always fun to hang out with. And I always tell people, if you want to know the bane of my existence, it's Backdoor Gerry. And I owe that all to Six and to Kyle. For spreading
we kind of made
virus.
it go viral. Paulie started
you guys
it,
turned it into the best STD
we
ever.
Took it and ran. Yeah.
You ran with it. Can you take a you know, some sort of antibiotic for that fucking thing? Oh, we got more Martins again. I don't know what to do with all the Martins.
Okay.
Wow.
But anyway, I like giving you and Kyle credit for that. Because Polly said it, but you guys ran with it and destroyed my life as I knew it.
Excellent.
Excellent. But anyway, we'll end on this note. Let's see. What do I want to end with today? Yep, I like this one.
To trick them into taking it. That way, see, they didn't know what they were drinking. I mean, with us, they would have put it in the coffee. What are you talking about? Oh, come on, man.
Put it in the coffee. Don't do that. I want to say thank you to everybody that again, more Martins are popping in. Railway Nation, Dr. Shadow Dragon, War Monkey, Joe's Atmosphere, Penny, D. Bud Martin, Joseph Dredd, Monkey Jeebus, Dragon Ruse, Mighty Orbots dropped in. That's awesome. Dork Knight, Ironcaster, Anima Confusa, my love of my life. Mr. Tickle Trunk was here. Mr. Tickle Trunk is the YouTube villain that's equivalent to every villain from James Bond. Shinatsky was here. Decepticon's Cave of Comics and Toys. Zax, a.k.a. Cal. Jordy Lyons, Kingsport Cal. Alex Moore. And are there more? Oh, Read by Nature. Yeah, Read. Good comments, guys. Great show. Six, thanks for being here. Martin, thanks for being the right side of my brain. And John, thanks for carrying the show with telling everything that happened in the 3 episodes.
Oh, you know, I'm going to watch them. So
yeah. Amen. So everybody have a great day and see y'all tomorrow. Don't forget, Keith has your show in the morning.